right now. We're on Chelsea. Should we be seeing more by now from the Pochettino process? Are they any further forward from the Graham Potter period to now? Doesn't look like it, does it? Chelsea, mid-table club. How does that sound to you, Danny? Big Chelsea fan. You're a mid-table club, are you?
Morning, boys. We're mid-table. Well, currently we are, yeah. But overall, no, we're not. I think the problem for me, and I'm a season ticket holder, I was just saying to your producer before, and I saw this yesterday. Our main problem this season is we've gone into this season without a proper goal scorer. We've rested the hopes of finishing chances on Nico Jackson, who at the moment is either not good enough or he's not quite there yet. And I saw enough yesterday. We had chance after chance. He's in the box. He's getting into good positions, but he's not putting the ball in the back of the net. And if you don't finish those chances, you're not going to win games. It's as simple as that. I know they bought Nkunku. I know that everyone's waiting for Nkunku to come back. For me, there is now an immeasurable pressure on him when he does come back from injury to hit the ground running and perform. And I'm not so sure he's ready for that responsibility either. For me, that's been the biggest problem.
But is it as simple as that, Danny? Saying a goal scorer will be okay?
Well, like I said, if you don't score goals, you're not going to win games, and you can create chance after chance after chance if you can't get the ball in the back of it. And I know that sounds a bit silly when you look at City and the fact that we scored 3 there, and obviously we did what we did against Spurs. But I mean, I go back to the Spurs game. Obviously, scored highly there. Jackson gets a hat trick. I mean, but the amount of chances he should have got, he should have got 10 goals. And I think that's the problem when you've got teams that play slightly more narrow and they're tighter at the back and they're defending deeper like Everton did yesterday. Very hard. You haven't got a good goal. You haven't got someone that can actually finish those chances. You're not going to score goals.
Stanley got a point there, Stuart.
I think the biggest damning indictment Chelsea have had this season was probably their 4-1 victory at Tottenham, where they couldn't work out how to break a team down that were just stood on the halfway line. They couldn't get the pass right, couldn't get the run right, they kept going offside. And Jackson's ended up with a hat-trick, and at the end of the game, he's smiling to the cameras and all this game. If he had been a decent centre-forward, he should have got about 6 or 7, to be quite honest with you, in that game. You know, and his time might come, but that was the biggest damning indictment for Chelsea this season, for me. And you saw Poch on the touchline during the game, and he was pulling his hair out with his team because they couldn't work it out.
Sure. George is a big Chelsea fan. Thanks to you, Danny. George, Stuart Pearce was saying earlier on, Conor Gallagher looks odd when he leads the team out. Do you agree?
Yeah, totally agree. Great show as always, guys.
Thanks, George.
Basically, watching them is just so... Look, there's no foundations at Chelsea Football Club anymore. They got nothing. They got no identity. They got no leader. They got no foundations. You know, they've come in this lot. They stripped the club bare. They've even got rid of they've changed everything from groundsmen to canteen workers. It's just ridiculous. There's nothing there. And seeing Conor Gallagher, like what Stuart said, he's a great player. But he's not a captain. Reece James ain't a captain. They've got nothing there. There's no fight. There's no passion. There's nothing. They need to swallow their pride. They need to get rid of Pochettino. They need to get someone in, like a Mourinho, something like that can build these foundations again. That's what Roman did. He came in.
George, did you honestly just say Mourinho?
I said someone like a Mourinho. I'll take Mourinho back in a heartbeat. I'd take him back in a heartbeat if he could come in and do something with this lot, because they've spent a lot of money. There's a lot of talent there. There's a lot of talent.
George, Mourinho presided over another chaotic Roma performance last night against Fiorentina. Ended up with 9 of his men on the pitch. I mean, I don't think Mourinho's the answer. Is it that chaotic behind the scenes? Hansi Flick, there's another name. I mean, Simon, it would be a blinking massive surprise if Boehly and Igbali decide to make a change now, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I would think so. I mean, as much as I'm an admirer of Jose Mourinho, and I still think he's one of the best coaches that we've ever seen, and I think it's undoubtedly don't win the things he's won. Whether you think his current incarnation is the greatest, I still think he's one of the best coaches around. I think most football people do. I think that Mourinho doesn't build sides. Mourinho isn't going to go and pare it back to basics. That's the last thing Mourinho does. Mourinho wants a ready-made team. He wants the acquisition of the best players. He doesn't want to take it back to the position of rebuilding something. You look at players like Thiago Silva, you would think that he'd want to be a captain. You'd think that he would be a captain material. But what we heard from him last year was all about how many games he was playing and why he didn't want to play in so many games. That's not the sort of captain material you've got. This is from the manager. The manager's job is to get this organised. The manager's job is to get these players in the right direction. They've got enough talent there. They've got enough ability on the field. And we're seeing Chelsea. We've seen it all season. They started the season brightly against Liverpool. They are profligate. The amount of possession that they have in most games, with the exception being Brighton recently, in most games, they dominate the ball. In most games, they dominate the opportunities and the chances, the most shots on goal. They don't score goals. And the reason why they don't score goals is because their centre-forward isn't good enough. That is in part their problem. Their centre-forward, Jackson, isn't good enough. And I was with Stuart watching that game. When you saw the boys score 3 goals against Tottenham, it was a get-out-of-jail card, because when you saw them have real chances that were more difficult than rolling in the back of the net, you saw the quality of the player. They need better players up top to be able to score goals. There's nothing wrong with the amount of chances that Chelsea are creating. They will create, on average, over the course of this season, probably between 10 and 15 shots on goal. If you're not scoring enough goals, you've got to look at the reasons why. But they are. They're, you look at them at times. You look at them against Bournemouth. They look like you don't know what they are, and you don't know what their identity is. You don't know what it is they're trying to achieve. You don't know what Pochettino is building towards. Because we're now talking about a team that's 15 games into a season that he's suggesting needs to have more fight, if we can interpret what was said by him over the weekend.
But you don't think Jackson's anywhere near the finished article?
I don't know if he's the finished article or good enough to be the finished article. But I mean,
he's one of many on a long-term 8-year deal.
Well,
32 million quid.
They are what they are.
I mean, how come clubs are getting the pants pulled down so spectacularly, like Chelsea, like Bowley, like Iqbali? Paying 32 million for someone who apparently is nowhere near it. Okay, well, Man United have spent 1.7 billion over 10 years. Oh, exactly. Well, there's another club. That's the question I'm asking.
And Chelsea have spent, and Everton have spent 500 million quid to be in financial disarray under Mashiri. There's only a few clubs that get it right. At this moment in time, you've got 2 clubs that are shining beacons. One that's gone off the boil a little bit, which is Newcastle, that spent money wisely, and the other that's Aston Villa. And Aston Villa at this moment in time are the go-to side in terms of what they've spent and how their manager's performing. This overhaul at Chelsea is so significant that maybe it does need time to find its level. Maybe there is just a period of time that Chelsea was once a big noise and it's going for a cyclical period where it's rebuilding.
I'm going to quantify this statement by saying, the game has changed and has moved on a little bit, but I, as an under-21 manager, used to go in and watch training on occasion, and Chelsea, Manchester United, and the level of leadership that was in the team and in the dressing room and in the squads at both Manchester United and Chelsea was incredible. Ferdinand and Vidic at Manchester, the likes of John Terry, Lampard, Drogba, people of that ilk. Those clubs are a world away from that now. And there used to be a thing. You used to go out and sign a leader and bring him into your dressing room and his influence on the rest of the dressing room. I don't know whether these 2 clubs need to sign not the best player on paper, but a leader.
Or character.
Exactly that.
Yeah.
But the society doesn't want leaders. It doesn't want strong people. It wants people, because if you put people under pressure, all of a sudden you've got to question their ability to be able to overcome the mental resilience that required. They don't want people that are strong, because with people that are strong comes opinions, and people don't like certain opinions. So we're not producing leaders in society because we're too busy trying to fit people into positions because of which particular sexuality they are or persuasion that they have, rather than what their meritocracy is. All of these questions come into play. But you're absolutely right. You would think that part of the recruitment process is looking into the eyes of a player and knowing you've got a player that not only can have technical ability but has the chops to be able to be a competitor in a side. And you wonder if these decisions are being made by people that are actually understanding what they're looking at.
Exactly. You need a leader to spot a leader.
Well, you'd like to think that would be the case, yeah. I don't think you can. I mean, listen, you don't get to a position where you can buy a football club with your money or other people's money for 2.5 billion quid if you ain't a leader, because you clearly are in bowling. Whether you're understanding what you're looking at in this industry is a different discussion, and whether you need to have a little bit more thought process of those around you. Souness would say, "Who have you got around you?" Do we genuinely believe that the signings in the summer weren't Pochettino's? That Pochettino wasn't involved in them? That Pochettino wouldn't have come to Chelsea with conditions that I'm coming here, understanding that I'm explicitly involved in the players that we bring in, because he had the strength to be able to do that, because they were hunting for him. He was the one that they sought.
Did you surround yourself with the right people, Simon, at Palace?
Depends what you think the right people are at the right time. Ultimately, my relationship was with my manager. I let managers choose players. They didn't choose how much they paid for them, and they didn't choose how much their wages were, because that's not their gift. What they chose was the player. And 95% of the time, despite the alternate view perpetuated by those that don't know, most of the time managers will choose players and they'll leave the finances to everyone else. And what's currently being is a mess is how much they're spending. But you look at these players and say, how many did Pochettino sign during the summer? We talk about 400 million being the spend. Those are his players, and they must be down to him. And this outcome at this moment in time, which is not good enough, has to come from him. But
why is he's now asking for more players?
Well, he didn't quite say that. He said that doesn't.
When the transfer window opens, we will see what we can do.
But he also said that doesn't mean I want to get players, and I don't want to get rid of players. He actually qualified it with a little bit more context than we're giving it in this instance. He wants the window to be looked at and say, okay, what can we do? Where do we think we need to improve? It's clearly evident they haven't got a goal scorer. So is there anything wrong with him saying that? The guy can't score goals. Jackson is not going to get you 25 goals. So there's nothing wrong with him saying I need a centre forward, because the whole world will be saying you need a centre forward.
I find it incredible, Stuart, how a club like Chelsea can get it so wrong.
Currently.
Exactly that.
Currently.
That is a great word, because we all think that Chelsea...
Currently is the most important time in which we all live.
Not always.
Currently.
Not always.
We all think that Chelsea can turn round a run of 5, 6, 7, 8 games, continual wins. I think they can, because I think they've got the squad of players to do so. But they're just going to have to find a way.
Well, currently, Chelsea are 12th. Currently, they won 5 in 16. Currently, how's the process?
Jim White and Simon Jordan. Monday to Friday mornings from 10. On AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.